Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you love emotional performances, unforgettable talent, and moments that remind you of the power of courage, then this is a video you absolutely cannot miss. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most moving performances ever to touch the Britain's Got Talent stage. It's the story of the 5-Star Boys, a group of young dancers who not only showcased breathtaking talent but also stood up against bullying in a way that brought the judges, the audience, and millions watching at home to tears. Their performance wasn't just dance. It was a message that hit like a tidal wave in the hearts of viewers of all ages. And today we're unpacking everything about their journey, their emotional act, and the reaction that shook the entire auditorium. Let's take a moment to rewind the clock to the night these extraordinary boys walked onto the BGT stage. Before they even said a word, you could tell there was something unique about them. Nervous smiles, matching outfits, and a bond that could be felt even through the screen. They weren't there just to perform. They were there to speak for every kid who has ever been misunderstood, pushed aside, or laughed at for being different. They stepped onto that giant stage with something powerful to say, and how they said it was something the world would never forget. As the judges looked on, they introduced themselves as 5-Star Boys, a group of young dancers who had come together not to show off, not to chase fame, but to represent every child who felt like they didn't belong. They talked about being bullied for their love of dance, for daring to express themselves, for not fitting into the boxes other people tried to put them in. And right from that moment, the audience was hooked. It wasn't just the story. It was the bravery. These were kids, yet they spoke with the honesty and emotional openness that many adults struggle to express. The judges listened closely, especially Simon Cowell, whose expression shifted from curiosity to something much softer and deeper as the boys explained why they were there. They said dance made them feel free. Dance helped them escape the insults, the laughter, the cruelty from peers who didn't understand them. Dance helped them stay strong when the world felt heavy. And tonight, they wanted to show everyone what it means to stand up, what it means to fight back, not with violence or anger, but with art. Their art. Then the music began. A single spotlight dropped onto the stage, and the boys moved with the kind of precision and emotion you don't usually see in performers their age. Their choreography wasn't just technically impressive. It told a story. Their story. You could see it from the very first step. The way they reached out, the way they pulled back as if pushed by an invisible force, the way they fell and lifted each other up. Every movement symbolized something deeper. Struggle, pain, courage, solidarity. The crowd was silent. Not a whisper, not a cough. Just pure engagement. It was the kind of silence that comes when every heart in the room is locked onto a moment that feels bigger than entertainment. The boys moved across the stage in perfect synchronicity, each expression raw with emotion. And it wasn't just one boy standing out. The power of their performance came from the unity between them. They were a team, a family, a symbol of what it means to stay together when the world pushes you down. Halfway through the performance, the lighting changed from cool blues to warm golds, and with that shift came a transformation in the choreography. What began as a representation of pain evolved into a powerful expression of healing and hope. They lifted each other higher, literally and symbolically. Where earlier, movements showed them being held down, now they were rising, climbing, reaching for the light. It was breathtaking. And just when the audience thought the emotional impact couldn't hit any harder, one of the youngest boys stepped forward during a quieter moment of the music. His expression was heartbreaking, yet determined. His solo spoke volumes, the trembling vulnerability of someone who's been hurt, contrasted with the fierce strength of someone refusing to stay broken. You could practically feel the meaning behind every move. This was his voice. This was his truth. And he was sharing it with millions. As the others joined in again, the choreography built into a powerful conclusion. The final pose, the boys standing together, arms linked, heads lifted, was a message anyone could understand. We are stronger together. We rise together. We are unbreakable when we stand united. And then the music faded. For a few seconds, there was complete silence. The kind that gives you chills. The kind that makes you realize you've just witnessed something unforgettable. Then the entire auditorium erupted into applause. Not polite applause. Not routine applause. This was an explosion. A wall of sound. Cheers, whistles, people rising from their seats without hesitation. The audience couldn't contain their emotions. Some were wiping tears. Some were holding hands over their mouths. Some were just staring, stunned at what they had just witnessed. The judges weren't any different. Amanda Holden had tears streaming down her face, completely moved by the raw beauty and bravery of the performance. Alicia Dixon pressed her hand to her heart, visibly emotional, her voice shaking as she tried to express how powerful the act had been. David Walliams looked blown away, touched on a level deeper than words could express. And then there was Simon Cowell, someone not easily shaken, someone who's seen thousands of acts over decades. He took a moment before speaking. For several seconds, he just looked at them, really looked, with a mix of compassion, pride, and profound respect. When he finally spoke, his voice was softer than usual. He told them that their performance wasn't just dance. It was art with meaning, beauty, and purpose. He said they were brave, talented, and exactly the kind of act that Britain's Got Talent was created for. He said they would inspire countless kids watching at home who needed to feel seen and understood. And when he finished talking, the applause began again. But even that wasn't the height of the moment. One of the boys stepped forward and said something that made the entire room pause. He said they hoped their performance would give confidence to kids who felt scared or alone. Kids who were being bullied, kids who felt different, kids who didn't have anyone to stand up for them. He said tonight was for them. And this single statement sent another wave of emotion through the theater. It was impossible not to be moved. To understand why this performance meant so much, you have to understand the reality behind it. These boys weren't just performing a routine. They were reliving their past hurts. They were showing the world the emotional scars that dance helped them heal. Kids should never have to feel ashamed for loving something. They shouldn't have to hide their passions to avoid judgment. They shouldn't be made to feel less than because they don't fit stereotypes or expectations. The five-star boys stood up and said no more. And they did it in the most beautiful, artistic way possible. When you look at what bullying really does to children, the fear, the anxiety, the loss of confidence, you realize how powerful it is when young people take their pain and turn it into something this inspiring. They didn't use anger. They didn't use bitterness. They used art. They used beauty. They used unity. They used their voices and their hearts to show that even the most painful experiences can become something transformative. As the judges gathered their thoughts, you could feel the overwhelming sense of admiration in the room. Stories like this resonate because they remind us of the humanity behind the talent. Behind the moves. Behind the bright stage lights. These were kids with real emotions, real struggles, real triumphs. And tonight, they weren't just contestants. They were leaders. They were advocates. They were role models. Each judge gave them glowing comments. They praised not only their technique but their courage, their message, and their presence. They spoke directly to the boys, letting them know that what they did tonight